Hey, I'm Chris Bowling.
Hey, it's Chris Spire,
You got
or
CC
CB squared.
coming at you again. Hey, today we want to talk about communication, just because we
Yeah,
think out of all of the years Chris and I have been doing this, boy, 2020 was the most challenging that we've ever seen on how you are communicating your benefits to your employees. We will constantly talk about if your employees do not value your benefit plan, then why are you spending as much money as you are? So,
yeah.
Chris, why don't you talk about communication, where we're seeing things change for 2020, and we'll kind of talk about some details around that.
No, Chris, that's a great point. When you talk about the value that the employees have on the benefit program, I mean, as we've seen benefit costs, especially medical, continue to go up double digit year after year after year, the employer continues to have to spend more money. And often those low performing plans, the only thing they can do is raise the deductible and raise the price of the employees because costs keep going up. And ultimately, it's not sustainable. And what I think has been a failure of the industry is that we are not communicating the right way with employees to help them understand the program. We see that even the richest benefit programs, and we have a couple of those plans, some industries that have historically rich benefit programs, employees pay next to nothing for those plans.
Sure.
And we come walking into that relationship with that employer and the employees think the plan is junk.
Yes.
And then we can look at some of those other employers that have watered down benefits that are nowhere in line with benchmark. They're in an industry that's historically got poor benefits, and the employees love them and they value them and they feel like the employer is doing something for them. And we can pinpoint that to a multi-pronged communication strategy. And it's certainly not an off-the-shelf strategy. It's got to evolve year after year. It's got to be something that, as technology and as methods change, that we're seeing those new tools and deploying them appropriately. But again, our industry is historic about we do one meeting a year. That's at open enrollment. We tell you the bad news about how much your premium is going up and the worst news about how your plan is reducing in benefit. And then we hope that you as an employee take that home to your family and teach them how to use healthcare.
Yeah.
It's just not acceptable, and it's,
Yeah. I mean,
again, the highest performing plans are finding ways to do that. So, Chris, when you see that, what's the challenge of relying on just that open enrollment meeting and taking a packet home to the family? Where does that miss for that employer?
well, it's usually in the garbage can 5 minutes after the meeting.
Yeah.
So that's that's
Yeah.
that's the first miss. Um, we hit them with so much during open enrollment that you can see the deer in headlights. I mean,
Right.
they are retaining 10% if you're lucky
Right.
on everything that's being talked about. But let's talk about what high performing communication looks like.
Right.
And again, what we're seeing from our highest performing clients is that they know what their employees don't know. And
Mm.
that's where we're focusing all of our communication on. And it's like you said, it's not like we're coming up with this idea in October and that's the one communication that we're going to have that year. It's
Right.
every month we're looking at where are the calls coming from, who's making those calls, what are the topics that they're asking about,
Right.
and that's how we really refocus on communication. You and I saw a ton of questions coming in October, November, and especially in December around flex.
Right.
Flex rules were changing through
Correct.
2020. So we knew exactly, hey, we got 58 calls from one client on Flex. We need to put out some branded communication for this client and make sure that these employees know. And then as soon as we saw the law change again that says, hey, now you can roll it all into 2021, what did we do?
We had to
Right
change it
back
again.
out, say, hey,
Right.
great news, folks. Stop
Let's change it
stressing about
again.
spending all your flex dollars. So
Right.
that's a bad example for everyone, but it is a good example that we really saw here in the fourth quarter. How about you?
No, I think it's, as we talk about the highest performing plans, again, our clients are not there yet because it's always a move to get better. As we take on new clients and we start working with them, we have to understand where they've been and what they've been using for their communication strategy, and not be afraid to say that this is where we're at and we can be better. There are going to be those employers that are still using paper packets. They're going to be those employers that are still doing, just the once a year meeting. And that's okay, because at least we know where they're at and we can move forward. This, last open enrollment cycle and now coming into this year, we used a lot more of this format where we were doing employee meetings virtually. And what we found was that we could invite the spouse to that event where it was hard to get that spouse to come into the workplace. We could also get questions sent to us by chat message, as opposed to somebody having to raise their hand in front of the group and ask that question. Not only was it efficient from a travel and timing standpoint, but I think we got better feedback and better engagement with employees.
100%, because how
Yeah,
many times when we finished the meeting, you got a line of people waiting to ask questions because
they're all personal. Yeah,
right, or they don't want to ask the question and sound, you know, dumb, which is a bad word, but
right.
they don't want to ask the dumb question that they believe everybody else knows.
Yeah,
Which the reality is probably nobody knows that answer. So
right.
I agree, is this type of format really helped open up a lot more communication because, again, if an employee doesn't understand, they're going to pick the most expensive option when they're in need of care, which
Right.
is the ER.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. No,
or, my knee hurts. Hey, I hear, my buddy Jim went to this doctor and was happy. Well, how do we know, was that doctor the highest performing doctor to do that surgery?
absolutely.
Those are the mistakes that we see day in and day out.
No, I think that's the theme is, we're able to relay maybe changes to benefits during open enrollment, and then throughout the course of the year, that education on how to access care, how to pick the right provider, how to make sure that you're going where you need to go, and, helping that employee understand that it's their dollars that are going into that healthcare budget as well as their employer's dollars, and those together, if managed well, and that doesn't mean poor care, that just means managed effectively and with the right care, can make a better benefit program. Those are the types of conversations that we're seeing in that multi-pronged communication strategy, whether it's virtual, whether it is paper, whether it's a mailer, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a handheld app on a mobile device. Those are just the tools to deploy those topics. It's really identifying, again, where is the employer at? Where do they want to be, and what's in the way to helping them understand better what their employees need to know, and what, crazier part is what the employees don't know that the employer doesn't know. And it's
Well,
uncovering that as we go. So we'll have some more topics as we continue on in terms of employee communication and how we're helping the highest performing companies get a better handle on that multi-pronged strategy. So if you got questions for us, would like to talk to us further about what it means to be high performing, hit us up in either of our social media feeds, shoot us a message, go ahead and comment below, and we'll be happy to address that. Thanks so much.
thank you, everyone.